I'm recording us from Skype.
Yeah.
I'm recording the audio on my phone as well.
How does that work?
So then, like, you can take our audios and put them together instead of using the Skype audio.
I have no idea what the fuck is happening.
Okay, because didn't you say you wanted, like, us
I
to
wanted to
record?
record my end of the audio.
Yeah, so you just take your phone and go to the record thing and just
That's gonna
record.
sound like ass.
Yeah. Hey everybody, welcome to They Done Goofed, a movie podcast where two best friends make each other watch movies the other one will hate. I'm Josh.
And I am Chuckles.
And today we watched my ex's favorite movie.
This was
300.
300. Josh, this was so much worse than I was ready for. I thought it was going to be like a normal level of bad, but I didn't think it was going to like, I don't know, the movie, it's from like 10 years ago. It
Yeah.
is as that movie could have been made in like 1980. Like not like quality wise it looks newer than that, but just like general themes and things that are discussed within it. Very 80s.
It is it came out in 2007.
Okay.
So America was just about to elect its first black president. I was 8.
We were 8.
Yeah, we were 8. This is I think the third female presenting nipple I've ever seen was from this movie.
Did you watch this movie when you were like 8 or 9?
No, my grandfather wanted to watch it with me.
Mm-hmm.
But my grandmother went, "We have to draw a line."
How old were you?
Maybe 9. Maybe 9.
That's baffling.
Because Stargate, they got away with it because they were like, it's so brief. It's just like,
Yeah.
and then it's off screen.
I think it's different if like you're watching a movie with your parents and then it comes up and they're like, oh, but for my dad to be like, let's watch this, there's boobies in it, is very, very different energies.
Also, this movie, because my grandfather was like, oh, he'll like the history and fighting. If I had seen some of these gore scenes at 8, I wouldn't have been good. It would have been good. I was a little baby and I would have had nightmares.
Yeah, see, not to foreshadow, but I definitely watched Rambo like in kindergarten.
That's why we are the way we are.
Yeah, like, because my parents never cared about violence in movies or like things of that nature. It was just like sex stuff. Like anything else was on the table.
My parents had no idea. They made up the rules as they went along. Like,
really?
I was watching Inuyasha with my brother in elementary school, but fucking Ed, Edd and Eddy was too much. That was
Did
too
everyone's
much.
parents hate Ed, Edd and Eddy? I think that was like a constant among everyone's life. Was your parents didn't want you to watch that or Caillou?
Yeah, but well, Caillou's listen. That's
Caillou's annoying. It made your kids fucking obnoxious.
Only
because he just whines because he's an only child. Is Caillou an only child? Can you fact check me on that?
I think he's got a sister.
That's unrealistic. Because only children are the only people on this planet who are that obnoxious.
Yeah, if you're
shout out to any only children watching.
Like, comment, and subscribe if you're an only child.
Or don't. We don't want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, actually, if you're an only child, dislike. Let's just see if we get a nice ratio going.
Yeah, fucking brats.
Caillou's family, he does have a lively younger sister who's a typical toddler. Of course, yeah, he's got the little ginger bitch.
This is not about 300.
That mom's kind of thick.
Every cartoon mom from our childhood was dummy thick.
Also, like,
who was it? Dexter's Laboratory. Dexter's Laboratory.
Oh my god.
Oh, bitch, that's a MILF.
All right, I'm assuming at this point, Chuckles is editing in where we actually talk about 300 because we've been talking about Caillou for 5 minutes.
Yes. We've skipped ahead probably at this point. I hope. God, I hope.
God, I hope. So, did you enjoy 300?
I wrote down on here, I think there were 3 places where I gave the movie like a point for being good.
Mm-hmm.
Like when something happened and I was like, oh, that was like a neat concept and like it was somewhat well orchestrated. Let me try and find some of them. Let's see.
Because I feel like I've hated this movie for so many different reasons, and the older I get, I can kind of gauge where I am emotionally about why I hate the movie. I always hate the movie, but like what drives me. For a while, I hated it because it was like painfully historically inaccurate.
I cannot wait to ask you questions about that. I think we should hold off on going into that because I think it'll be very funny and you'll be very mad, but I can't wait to get into that.
And then I hated it for being racist. That's where I am now.
Yeah.
Is very racist.
It's bafflingly so. Like, because
inexcusably racist.
If they had a singular black Spartan, like just one, I feel like this movie like would go from like almost a 9 to like maybe like a 6, where it's like it's bad that there's a race of evil non-white people, but like at least there's like this redeeming quality of like, but not all of them. Listen, it's still racist, but at least there's like they're throwing you the fucking bone. There's nothing.
I would have fucking taken it if they were like, and here's our Mexican Spartan. He's doing great. Like anything. Arabic.
Anything besides
Scottish.
Noble and bold white people take out this terrible evil race of people. And like,
why did they let him use a Scottish accent, London?
I did write down here, I believe very early. I wrote down very early into this. I cannot tell if Gerard Butler is attempting a different accent or not.
What is that voice? The entire movie.
He definitely, I guess, and I do know now that like, because I've heard Gerard Butler talk out of like this film, and he's definitely more like Scottish, but he wasn't doing like, it felt like he was sort of doing an American thing where like he was just trying to sound like he didn't have any accent, but he's still Scottish, and like he's talking sort of old-ish sometimes. It was insane to me because I'm sitting there I'm like, is he just Scottish and they just don't care? Because like I guess that's fine if that's how we're gonna do this, but they couldn't even commit to that.
I would have loved if he just was incoherently Scottish the whole time. You know,
Braveheart. Oh, let me say on behalf of the podcast, fuck Mel Gibson.
Yeah, fuck Mel Gibson. I thought you were gonna like be like, if you're Scottish, like comment and subscribe.
That too.
Listen,
that too.
Only children. Mel Gibson. Fuck off.
That's correct. Y'all are in the same boat.
Different degrees, but still fuck off.
So I did find two of my things that I said were redeeming about this movie. I said I appreciate that it sets everything up extremely quickly. You are right into it. I did not have. Now the downfall of that is there was so much of the exact same thing happening after that because they set it up so quickly. But at least I was like, okay, well we're into it. I don't have to sit here and try and figure 15 things out before we start. And then followed by, I thought the thing about like there's religious nuts that control everything was timely.
Now, out of curiosity, when you say religious nuts, do you mean people who are crazy about religion or religious testicles? Because that's what they are.
They are freaky looking, like they did. Like there's these really grimy old people who love a god and keep doing mean things to women who control everything you do. I'm like, okay, yeah, good, a good take.
They set it up as if like the Catholic Church had the Pope was a young pretty girl.
It was very
who's
especially
naked.
Because like there's two women. It's that lady that is in there and his wife.
Oh, hey, don't forget about the concubines and the goat scene.
That too, but like I guess two women that like have lines in this movie that like have things they say and serve a function other than like to be kind of horny but still racist.
Listen, Mr. Bechdel test, I don't know what you want from this.
I am not like really big into like you should have to complete this level of thing for your movie to be woke, because like you can have movies that are about men and like they're still fine and good to watch and nice to listen to and like make good points.
I swear this to God, is not if you mention the lighthouse, I'm gonna.
No, I was thinking. I don't know. But like my thought when I said that was like, you watch Moonlight. It's a movie about men. It has women characters who I don't think that it would pass that test as far as I can remember. I might be totally talking out of my ass and it does. But like, it's a movie about men. It's woke. Women characters still do things that are not get sexually assaulted and play for plot.
And I'm even gonna go like completely different spectrum.
Yeah.
If you want to make a dumb war movie, you can still not be like incredibly sexist. Like I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan.
Yeah.
Big Lord of the Rings fan. Huge dweeb.
Yeah.
Like comments. So of threes. Rule of threes.
15 minutes into an hour-long podcast.
Oh, it's cute. You think we're making it to an hour? We'll get 20 minutes in and be like, that's all of our 300 facts.
I just need you to know right now that the first 10 minutes of this are also unusable, so we're like really fucking scraping.
Oh yeah. We're not. We may get 30 minutes out of this. That movie only has like 3 or 4 named women.
There are women in. I've never seen Lord of the Rings. You know this. I don't like have the time in my life to do that.
I'm not mad at you because I get it and I don't think you'd like it, but it's not funny. I don't want to hear you rag on it on this podcast because it would make me feel bad. It's one of those. Like, I get it. There's lots of bad things you could say about it, but I love it so much.
You have a sensitive area.
You have a sensitive area. Yeah. This is going to be almost a challenge to turn into a podcast, this audio.
I think we're gonna get into the swing of things pretty soon here, because this thing is like we have a thought process right now. The thought line right now is this movie's so fucking sexist.
So, what did you think about the male to female nipple ratio?
I don't know. It's so hard to be horny in a movie that's so bad. And also, like, none of those men are my type.
Really? Yeah, that's fair.
No, they're like real big and like, what am I to do with that?
That's a good point.
That's the kind of thing you're attracted to. I saw a tweet about this, and I'm gonna like butcher kind of summarizing now, where it's like when you're 13 and you don't really find anything attractive, but you like want to seem cool. That's what you think is hot. You're like, you don't care because you're fucking a child and like have other things going on, but like, oh, the older kids, fucking high school kids think like boys are hot. This I think is hot now because I'm supposed to.
I think a Gerard Butler.
Yeah.
God, the decision to stick them in Speedos, I want to know whose it was.
I actually, you know what? I'm sorry. I lied to you. Because I'm looking at my notes right now, and I did write down, holy shit, Fassbender's wig is bad. Holy shit, Fassbender's hot.
Thank you. Okay, so when Michael Fassbender showed up, I went, what? Because I forgot that dude was in there.
I was so shocked by that, because I thought, like, it was Gerard Butler and, like, others.
It was him and all of his, like, gym buddies. That's what I was for sure.
Yeah.
But, like, Fassbender's a real actor. He's in good movies.
Yeah, and, like, again, I think he's too handsome to have been in this movie. Because, like, he's, like, kind of grimy handsome in this, too.
Which we know is right up here. Get down and dirty with the boys.
Oh, I loved it, yeah. I said, yeah, God Fassbender is nasty hot. Woozy face emoji that I drew by hand.
This movie is so incredibly both homoerotic and, like, super homophobic.
Do you want to attempt to do a plot summary real quick for people who, I guess, haven't seen this or don't care enough to go watch it, which I don't blame you?
Yeah.
We should try and start with that from now on, maybe.
Yeah, we should. Just a quick, like, I'm going to just do a quick, like, 5-minute back and forth. So it's all about Xerxes and the Persian Empire coming to invade Greece to try to rope them into the growing Persian Empire. They have Xerxes, which is a 10-foot tall, bedazzled, deep-voiced, bald king god, against the Greeks, who all wear different colored capes, depending on which city they're from.
Yes.
A Speedo and a prayer. And they are deciding to make a last, like, a stand at Thermopylae to keep the Persians from invading. But the god said, we can't attack yet, so only 300 Spartans could go and hold the line. And they do real good.
Love isn't always on time.
No. No. The Spartans do real good until they don't. Then they
I
all
have
die.
things to say about that. Bring me back to that when we get there.
We'll roll back. And then it turns out that this was all a story. It was all a story from Nick Fury, who was the only surviving Spartan. And now he is talking to the Spartans at a very large battle that I'm assuming Zack Snyder pulled off of Wikipedia. Because that's not the defining battle.
Again, I'm gonna let you do history later, but I think we need to say that. Yeah.
Yep.
Spartan plot armor. I have never, ever once in my life cared about plot armor because I think it's a stupid thing. I understand that, like, on general principle, the main character of a story is the main character because they survive and because their story is interesting. So I think
Yes.
plot armor, in almost 90% of the cases where people complain about it, is a stupid thing to complain about.
Mm-hmm.
Not one of them died until an hour and 15 minutes into this movie. Not one of them died. And, like, maybe they do, and I'm misinterpreting, but you do not see one of them die until an hour and 15 minutes into this movie.
Yep.
Which is why it's a little fucking stupid that in the end of this movie, they all immediately die.
Yep.
With, like, out of prayer. Like, for the first hour and a half of this movie, they are like an impenetrable god force. And, like, you're like, okay, well, that's the thing then. I guess you just can't beat them and they'll win. And at the very end, he goes, and now we die. And now we're just going to die. With no fight, there was no ending fight scene to this fucking long-ass violent movie. And at the end, they do not have another fight scene.
What do you
They
mean?
just die. They just
he threw the spear
killed.
real good, though. He threw the spear real good.
I think this movie goes from a 2 to a 4 if he kills the guy with the spear and then died, because then at least there was some point to all of this.
Can you please make one of those memes of the, like, sad dog and buff dog? And, like, the buff dog's like, Spartan win person in front, and then weak dog, Spartan win person behind.
And, like, again, it's just the night and day between, like, oh, they figured out a battle tactic that makes us just a bunch of 5-year-olds. It was insane to me. There was no fight whatsoever to end this movie, because I was like, okay, we're going to do, like, the last battle scene now, and there isn't one. There is not a final fight scene in this big, violent fighting movie.
Also, like, oh, we're getting into, I have to say these history facts.
Go for it.
Bugged me so much because it starts when they fight with some, like, actual Spartan and Greek tactics of a phalanx, and, like, where they all put their shields together, and then they go.
You mean one of the interesting things to see in this movie?
Yeah, like that's
like,
actually
kind of cool.
And, like, when they push them back and then put the spears out, that's a cool scene. It makes absolutely no sense.
Oh, god damn it.
What?
This is not important, and I'm cutting you off and you can go back to this. I had, like, tweet notifications on for, like, some candles I was gonna buy, and they dropped at 5, and they're gone.
Oh my god! It's been 9 minutes!
Yeah, which, like, they were, like, scary movie candles, and I was gonna buy some, but that's probably good for me anyway.
Yeah, it's good for your bank, bad for your home aesthetic.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, you, Spartan
Phalanx.
Shield Warfare, yeah.
So, at one point, god, so I forgot that there's the, I don't want to be mean, but the Spartan gremlin that comes and...
Spartan gremlin!
You know the one guy I'm talking about?
Yeah, you know, like, the misfit that they sent with all the other misfits, like, you know, the lesbians and the people of color? You know, all the people that they don't want in Sparta who is perfect and our good guy? Yeah, I remember.
So there's this Spartan who has some deformities, and the only people with those are monsters and evil, according to Zack Snyder. And the reason he can't fight with the Spartans is because he can't raise his shield up, because Spartans fight in a phalanx, and you have to protect the person to your, I believe it's to your left. Your shield doesn't cover you, it covers the person to your left. We're going to get emails from me in the future. They fight in a phalanx for maybe 2 minutes, and then they're all Batman flying around, doing kicks and just karate moves. And that frustrated me to no end. I get that we don't want to watch an hour of two lines of people pushing up against each other. But you know what? I do want to see that, though.
Well, and I do think that, like, when you start the movie off like that, I'm like, oh, I understand now how small army beats big army via tactic that big army does not have and is not familiar with. But after that, it's just like fucking one-on-one Super Smash style warfare, and I'm like, then you lose. Like, you shouldn't be winning anymore. You're not doing anything cool, or that wouldn't just immediately result in, like, your death, realistically.
And the idea that all the fucking Speedos, why? The reason
Speedos bug you that much?
Yeah.
Are they that, like, historically inaccurate?
Yeah, it's the equivalent of if I shot you and you had a knife And I said, oh no, my fingers just do that. The entire reason the Greeks won is they lasted that long is because they had cool armor that the arrows couldn't pierce.
Oh, interesting. That sure would have made that last scene a little different, wouldn't it have? You know, when they all die via arrow?
And that last scene, okay, I have to.
Go off. I hate that. The last scene really took us from, like, movie I wouldn't watch again to movie I hate. So, like, please.
So the entire concept was the 300 Spartans were going to hold the line and for, like, an indefinite amount of time until actual Sparta could go help. So what happened is the Persians were able to get behind the Spartan line, which also had like 8,000 other Greeks there, but who fucking cares?
That's suspendable enough for the sake of this movie, I feel like. It's a movie about the fucking Spartans. It was the Spartans who were there. Okay. Yeah.
So the Leonidas and his 300 Spartans were like...
That's his name! I couldn't fucking remember. I kept thinking, like, Listerine.
Listerine and his shiny teeth and me said, we're going to hold the line while the other Greeks go retreat and, like, regroup. And, like, we'll hold them off for as long as we can, but it's only 300 of us, so we'll die a glorious, like, last charge or whatever. Okay. So that's what happens. You can't hold a shield up in front of you and behind you, so the Persian arrows were able to kill him. They didn't form this weird cone and then just lurch out and get shot.
See, what you just said to me would have, like, made this a passable ending, and that, like, they're dying on behalf of, like, something else might happen now, and they might send more people in, whereas in this one, they're just like, we're gonna die because, like, I don't know, that's what we're gonna do.
Also, it would have been a great last scene, because famously, I think the last Spartans died fighting to protect King Leonidas' body. And, like,
he just, like, dies immediately.
Yeah!
Oh, so that's super lame. These are both much cooler things that they could have done in this movie.
Yeah, and then there's, like, this big, like, struggle over the Spartans trying to protect their king's body. And that's way more compelling.
Yeah, that's, like, actually sad and, like, worth watching.
But you know who they didn't ask? Me. Zack didn't call me. I wasn't doing anything.
8-year-old Josh and go, hey, how should I end my multi-million-dollar movie?
And the first thing I said was, how racist is it?
Have we really gotten into that yet? We've said it's racist. In this movie, there's first of all, like, everybody in Greece is white, which I don't know about. Fact check me. Is that how Greece was in this time period?
No.
But everybody in Greece is white, and, like, not Greek white, like Gerard Butler white.
Scottish white.
Yeah, like Western European white.
We went exotic and got someone from Wales.
Yeah, like, it's rough. And they are our good guys, and in comes the race of queer-coded black guy who is the main villain of the entire story, and also, like, the one that shows up to the town in the beginning, whose name I don't remember, is the sole person of color there, and it's like, oh, he's evil and conniving and going to take down our beautiful, perfect society. And it's like, hey, where have I heard that before?
The things you see in the non-white group are, and I'm not making this up, half-man, half-goat creature, an army of mutants, stupid, dumb people, cowards, and I gotta read the Zack Snyder quote.
It was the laziest stereotyping in the world. I couldn't, because I kept thinking it was going to, like, improve, and this was just, like, kind of coincidental, and surely it won't be like this the entire time I watch this movie.
Yeah.
No.
So the main villain, Xerxes, is like 10 foot tall and a little homoerotic.
Yeah, he definitely has, like, if you watch this movie, very, I think, like, gay Disney villain energy. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. And apparently that was on purpose, because Zack Snyder said, what's more scary to a 20-year-old boy than a giant god king who wants to have his way with you?
Oh, Zack Snyder.
Oh, Zack Snyder.
I'm glad all of his movies are big, stupid fucking flops now.
Oh, we're not going to watch the Snyder cut of Justice League?
I would love to continue to dunk on Zack Snyder because I have decided that I fucking can't stand him.
What if we just make a podcast dunking on Snyder? We just make it our life mission to dunk on this bad director.
I think once a month we should have to watch a fucking terrible Zack Snyder film.
I love that, actually.
Yeah, we'll do that later.
So I do want to ask you about something.
Yeah, if you've got questions, let's go.
I do, because I know that this pissed you off.
Mm-hmm.
The one surviving Spartan guy missing an eye.
What about him?
I thought it really pissed you off that he was alive at the end telling a story.
I don't know. I was so fucking done with this.
Because you texted me very mad.
I hated this movie because the ending of it was fucking worthless. It did nothing. I don't know. That didn't piss me off because I was already so mad about a bunch of other things. I'm going to be honest with you. Can we talk about... I want to go ahead and point out something very small from the opposite end of this movie.
Yes.
In the very fucking beginning... First of all, actually, I'm going to fucking backtrack even farther. This is like God's perfect society, right? Like, these are our good guys, and they're talking about how I have the quote from here somewhere, but they're like, oh, they are the one hope for reason and justice. Isn't the entire thing, like, founded on, like, child abuse, though? Like, a lot of child abuse?
Not only that, it's founded off of slavery.
Yeah, I have this in here. I wasn't looking at it right now, but they're talking about how, like, they're going to make people into slaves. Isn't that fucked up? And I'm like, y'all have slaves. Y'all said you have slaves, like, 20 minutes ago.
You know the Spartan, like almost triangle?
Yeah, like the two lines, yeah.
That signifies Spartan culture, where the tip are like the fighters, and then like right under that you have like the women and the families, and then the vast majority are the people they enslave. Yeah,
because it baffled me that they like decided to go the like we are holier than slavery route when they had also like not even ignoring the fact that they had it, like they just kind of amended canon for that. Like no, they admit to having slaves earlier in the movie. The thing I was going to talk about before I got into like angry woke moment was when he fights that wolf in the beginning. They say the wolf's eyes are red and they're not, and that drove me up the fucking wall because like that's a button, and like I know what button that is. I know how to fix that. It drove me up the wall. They're like, it's glowing red eyes, and they're like kind of yellow and like mostly white for most of that, and then they turn kind of yellow. But at no point are they anything red adjacent, and it fucking made me so mad because just say they're yellow. Just say what it is. Change either the monologue or fucking fire your editor.
Do you think Zach went up to his editor and was like, hey, Rick, can you make it the eyes for the wolf red? And the editor was not at all paying attention. Went, all right, yeah. And then the movie came out.
That was right from the beginning too, and I was like, I can't fathom how the rest of this is going to go if we're starting here. And also, then, this is a stupid question. You're going to have to entertain are there pine trees in Greece? That doesn't seem right. I saw that and was like,
I'm almost certain there are.
Okay, well then in that case they can have that. Because
let me look it up.
When I think Greece, I'm thinking like fucking Kardashian beaches. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They're definitely pine tree. Yeah.
Okay. Then they can have that one. And Zach, I'm not sorry, actually.
I don't blame you for looking at every aspect of this movie and just going like, I'm sure that's wrong and somehow racist. Like, yeah. It's just...
I have a point that Hayden made to me as well, and like a point that I had written down, but he just saw it over my shoulder and agreed with me. Mm-hmm. Why is this the ugliest fucking movie of all time?
I was gonna ask you about that. Like, as someone who likes movies a bit more than I do, and like can appreciate them on a deeper level, it's a grody movie. It's ugly.
The thing that we agreed on is that in real life, there are in fact both fields and mountains. So you could go to one instead of making it the world's grossest yellow green screen. Like you could just go to a field with a mountain behind it instead of putting it in post for because I'm assuming the budget for this movie was kind of astronomical.
I've got the Wikipedia up, so like
it had to have been in the tens of millions of dollars.
It had to. Yeah, the budget was $65 million.
With $65 million, get your ass on a plane and go to a mountain.
You know what's even crazier?
And that has to cost less than not cost less, but like man hours of trying to make a good, like, 80% of this movie, the background is put in post.
I also don't want to be this guy, but like, it's not like they have to film on Middle Earth. Thermopylae exists.
You can go to fucking Greece.
Greece isn't some mythical land where
they would love the fucking tourism.
Especially in 2007.
Oh my good God. I just couldn't believe that. I was like, oh, instead of going to mountains, they just made them up. They just drew them in later. And like, I've seen movies that are like color graded like that, and like it looks really nice. It's because that when you color grade a movie, I don't know if you know this, you pull up that like does that, and there's a lever, like a scrolling bar, and you don't put it all the way to fucking 100. You don't like, when you're like, I want it to be a little yellow, you put it at like 20, and then you see how it looks, and you run it by some other people and leave it for a couple days and come back and go, oh, that's too yellow. They pulled the lever, Kronk.
Now, I was going to ask you, because like, I hate when movies are this color, but it was more colors than Lighthouse. So does that mean
it was more colors than Lighthouse.
Does that mean for the next one we get all colors? Do we finally get a movie with all colors?
I have great news.
It's got all the colors.
It's gonna get. I wrote down. So we're not done with this episode yet, so I'll just very briefly say this. But
there's a taste.
I watched the movie that I'm gonna make you watch next last night. And I wrote down it's going to give you a migraine.
God damn it.
So yeah, it's got all the colors. What else do we have about this? Oh, lots of Christ imagery.
Oh my God, yeah.
Very heavy on that, considering it's ancient Greece, and like I don't think he was around then.
He was not.
No, I believe Jesus was post-Greece.
Jesus was actually in the third movie of Greece.
Yeah, they went heavy on it too. Because like you catch it in the beginning, you're like, oh, a little bit, that's nice. And then he dies like fucking T-posing.
I would have paid so much money if he died standing T-posing.
Yeah, it's baffling. I don't know why they did that.
It's a really weird move. Yeah. I know we're like really dunking on this movie as we're supposed to.
Yes, I didn't care for this movie.
Can we talk about the most boring B-plot in movie history?
With his wife and the fucking like... Not only is it boring and like adds nothing to the story plot-wise, like, because most of the time when you make a movie TV show, the point of having an A plot and a B plot is for them to converge towards the end.
Yes.
This movie, if the B plot had not happened, would have been the exact same movie.
It would have made us all happier, I think. No one's favorite plot was what Cersei was doing.
That's the Game of Thrones bitch, yeah.
Yeah,
I've never seen that, but I saw her, I was like, she's familiar, and I Googled it, and I was like, oh.
God, if we mention Game of Thrones one more time, I'm going to start ranting about how bad that was.
I am going to fucking tell you right now, I will not watch that entire show for this podcast.
I won't.
I will watch the first and last episode of that show for this podcast, if you think we can do something with that.
I think we could do something with us watching a supercut of, like, 30 of us, like Lord said.
Oh, Lord.
Worst scenes, and that would get me there.
Yeah, I know Game of Thrones, so you have, like, hella opinions on, and I've never seen because I thought it was boring when I started it, but, it could be fun to watch you yell about it.
That's literally why we made this podcast, because I saw Cats, and you were like, we need this in, like, recorded history.
Because it's fun to bitch. That's
it's so much
like
fun to bitch.
Humanity's big unifier is complaining.
Yeah. Can I talk about the Immortals?
That's the ones with like the silver masks.
Yeah, okay. The ninjas, yes. the mutant ninjas.
Okay.
In actual Persian like history, the Immortals were called that because when they were just always that many men. Whenever one of them died, they were replaced. Okay. So there was always like however many, and they wore a like black film over their hood so you couldn't see their face, which is kind of metal.
Okay, yeah.
And according to some stories, they had golden fruit that they'd wear on their belt.
Okay.
I like that. I like golden fruit. That's what I call myself. when I'm really feeling myself.
He's a golden fruit.
I'm the golden fruit. So when I was learning about the Immortals, I was like, I know Zack Snyder probably was playing around a little bit because he's crazy. You know, he likes to get
He's
nuts.
a little wild.
You know what they don't fucking have? A giant who's chained up and that they have to kill because mutants. Why are all the bad guys mutants?
It's a very strange thing where, like, I couldn't tell if I was supposed to take this movie seriously sometimes. Because, like, that's another thing. They had a lot of really boring fight scenes in this movie. Like, like that went on way too long and just not a lot was happening. And then they, to quote Lord once again, fucking super cut together. Big monster, rhinoceros, elephant, and like, why not spend, I don't know, more than 10 seconds on one of those things that's kind of cool to watch, instead of making me watch the Spartans do the turtle move again.
Also, why does it spend so long with them getting wet and wild in the rain?
So, I'm going to go ahead and say that the wet and wild in the rain scene did help me figure out how to make this a good movie.
Lay it on me.
If I had 300, this is paying no bearing to historical accuracy.
Like Zack Snyder wanted one.
Yeah, like, but it'll at least be entertaining to watch. I want Michael Fassbender and that guy's son are homosexuals. Assuming he is of legal age. I don't know if, like, he looks fucking 30, but, like, he's supposed to be that 40-year-old son, so, like, I don't know if I'm supposed to just suspend disbelief for that. I don't know. They're together. Gerard Butler is, like, kind of a maniac, and they're not following him because he's, like, their god. They're just kind of scared of him. And I want his wife, like, anti-hero who kind of hates him because he's a freak.
Ooh.
I think that'd be kind of fun. Like, if he's, like, sick of his shit and, like, I don't know, sabotages some shit. I think that could be much more fun than whatever the hell I just watched.
Yeah, that would actually...
He has, like, agency outside of people taking advantage of her.
You could do a whole thing with, like, where he hears that prophecy and she's like, fuck the prophecy, leave.
Yeah, he's like, go, go, go. Yeah. I want her to be a little corrupt. I thought she was too fucking, like, I love my husband and nothing else in my life is relevant besides that.
No, I also have a son. We saw him in one scene.
They just don't care about him.
Well, they don't care about kids in general.
Because I know that, like, they're going to ship him off they're going to leave him on a mountainside somewhere so a bear can eat him, but, like, Jesus.
God, like, I get why people find Sparta interesting in general, because they were wackos.
Yeah. Paint them as wackos.
Yeah.
Like, don't make them, like, perfect good guys because they, like, had a good fighting technique. Like, you're allowed to have complicated characters, and in fact, it might make your movie a little better.
But they would hint at it, and I think that always pisses me off the most when they hint at, like, something interesting. Like,
and they don't go anywhere with it. Yeah,
they take actual, like, Spartan quotes that are fucking cool and fun, and, like, sprinkle them in where they make no sense.
Yeah,
like we'll battle in the shade was like an actual quote that was said, but like it makes no sense in the context of the actual movie.
They did. Oh God. Yeah, you're just right. Like, I don't really have any follow-up points other than, yeah, man, that sucks.
So I think we need a good way to float.
You know what I just looked at? I should have said this when we were talking about, like, the vibe of the movie. Did this feel, watching, especially through about the first act, exactly like playing Assassin's Creed? It has the exact same, like, color scheme and energy and lack of plot other than killing people as the first Assassin's Creed game. Where it's, like, a little ugly because that game's, like, 10 years old now.
I have only played one Assassin's Creed for, like, maybe 3 hours. And it's the
pirate I played, like, the first one through the pirate one and, like, finished all of them. Yeah. If you played the first Assassin's Creed and you liked the way in which that was ugly, I have great news.
Do I have a film for you?
Do I have something for you? Yeah.
Directed by Zack Snyder.
Oh, Zack.
You know what? We have a loop. We have a loop. You know who was in the Assassin's Creed movie?
Huh.
Michael Fassbender.
I didn't see the Assassin's Creed movie on account of it was bad.
No one did.
Did no one see Assassin's Creed? Did that make tons and tons of money despite the fact that it was bad?
I wanted to see it because I was like, ooh, Michael Fassbender, and like that's an interesting movie idea because like the video game's pretty. I forgot that I have to look up movie after Assassin's Creed that Google wouldn't. Yeah. But like I don't think anyone saw this fucking movie.
Because I don't remember.
Oh my god, it had a budget of 125 million.
Yeah.
It made 240 million.
Okay, that's not a great turnover.
No. So like people saw it, but
yeah, it wasn't a blockbuster. Okay.
No. So we need some way to like wrap up our journey with 300.
Let's wrap it up exactly like they did. Let's just fucking not. Let's just end it. That was terrible. It was bad. I hated it was bad on a normal level until the last 20 minutes.
It does have the most anticlimactic. This movie's a bad hand job.
I'll make the joke I want to about that later. It's telling, though.
All right. What the fuck are we watching next week?
Oh, okay, so I've told you that my plan for next week was to do, and I'm just going to announce this even though it's not what we're doing anymore because it's good for the joke. I wanted to do Rambo Last Blood, the last installment in the Rambo movie. We're not doing that anymore because after watching this, I feel like it's the things that we'll bitch about in Rambo Last Blood are very similar to the things we bitched about with this, where like it's just kind of racist and violent and stupid and like bastardizes on which it was created upon. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So instead of doing that, I asked myself, and I have this written down right here, what does Josh hate? And I came up with a little list. You hate movies that are older than your parents.
Yes.
You hate plots that don't make any fucking sense and don't go anywhere. You hate when I am attracted to ugly men. You hate musicals.
Oh, God, I think I know what movie you're gonna pick.
You hate musicals, especially when there are no words spoken in the musical.
What? I don't know what you're gonna
Where
pick.
like they don't talk in between anything. You hate classic rock and concept albums.
Oh my god, what are you making me watch?
Tommy, baby.
What?
Google Tommy the movie.
Tommy the movie.
I am having a little hyperfixation phase.
Oh my god.
A band right now.
Yeah.
And I'm taking it out on you. I watched this last night to make sure it was like up to snuff for what we do here. You're going to fucking murder me. You're going to hate this more than you've ever hated anything in your life. I didn't even really love it. And like, I knew the entire plot and all the words to all the songs going in.
Oh, no.
I don't want to give much more away than that, but it's a Technicolor fucking nightmare. Don't spoil who's in it.
For me or for
you? It's exciting. You're like, oh, guest stars. It's great. You're gonna love it.
You do realize I didn't recognize any of these people unless they have their name underneath. So
okay, we can't talk about this movie yet, but you can't pick Elton John out of a lineup?
No.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
I've heard maybe a collective hour of his music and seen him for
closer. Me. Wait, what's the TikTok? It's a little Mitt Romney. So yeah, I'm making you do Tommy for next week. Unfortunately, I could not find a bootleg of it, so I did have to pay $3 for it.
I'm not paying money to watch this movie.
I will Venmo you $3 to watch Tommy. Or if
this is my first ever paid appearance on a podcast.
You're going to like hate this because it's again, I listed things you hate and it's all of them. It's every single thing that I just said rolled into one 2-hour clusterfuck.
Oh, oh god.
Josh is having a mental breakdown because of the movie I'm going to make him watch, so I'll go ahead and close this one out. We thank you all for being here. This was a great time. 300 is bad. Do not waste your time with it. And we will see you next Saturday, ladies, gentlemen, and everybody else. Thank you.